So Sam, welcome to School Street Coffee House.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've had this year both, I guess in our first season we've had Chris Matthews and yourself. Can you talk about what it's like being nominated for something like, International Folk Singer of the Year?
Yeah. Cool. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like I set out to play for people in person and have that be like the main thing, you know what I mean? And, because when I was in college, I did like The Voice briefly and like American Idol briefly and that kind of stuff. And it just didn't work very well. Like that, you know what I mean? Like sort of like the star thing of like, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, let me stand up in front of everybody. And so it was kind of interesting. It was like, well, I sort of like said that I didn't care about awards and didn't want awards or anything. So it was interesting to be nominated for an award from kind of not caring about that. It was interesting because I didn't expect it at all. I mean, it was like, oh, cool. Because I feel like I've built my thing just playing and traveling and just being in person as much as I can. I came at this from the direction of like really grassroots, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which I figured, an award means you have to have a record label and you have to have a team and you have to have all these like things like that and just interesting.
Well, and I think that you found that you were in the company with the kinds of people who are. We were joking around here that, because you were booked, you were coming someday,
mm-hmm.
but we were like, we love Sam, but we don't think he's gonna be on with her.
Oh, totally, yeah. I was like, there's no way, yeah.
Going up against. Or I guess being paired up against, folks who are just, Grammy winners.
It was hilarious. Yeah, it was, you know what I mean? And I certainly didn't expect to win. And I was sitting there and I was at the awards and I was like, wait a second, but there like is a chance that I actually could win. And I was like, I mean, there's a chance,
right.
But I didn't really have a speech, you know what I mean? But they said like, yeah, you have to give a little speech. And I was like, oh my God, I might actually win. Like, there's a whatever percent chance, 1 in 6 chance. So I started like furiously writing the speech and then I didn't win. I was like, okay, good. You know what I mean?
So from the time you decided, I want to do music.
Yeah.
Like that's my love and passion, to going to Berkeley, to going to Nashville, to doing that grassroots, where do you find that like your love and like passion to continue it like was really solidified?
Wow, that's a deep question. I think I was pretty confused, like, because I grew up in Portsmouth, like 30 minutes away, and I was pretty confused there, and I was pretty confused at Berkeley, and I was pretty confused in Nashville, and I mean, I'm still confused in a lot of ways, but I think like I had this thing that I liked music. I was a drummer growing up, so when I was really young, I liked music and sort of got into this thing of singer-songwriter stuff when I was like 15 or 16, and I was just confused, you know what I mean? Because that was the era of post on YouTube until you go viral, and then you'll get on the Ellen Show, and then you know what I mean? Or go on The Voice and go on American Idol, and then you'll go viral, and then all of your dreams will come true and everything. And so like there wasn't as much of a focus on like the craft. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Kind of what Laura McKenna was saying. For me, there just wasn't. And I was like, I was studying the greats, you know what I mean, of like singer-songwriter stuff. And I really, the James Taylors and Don McLean's and Bob Dylan's, like I really was into that. But I was confused about like my place in the industry. And I think like going to Berkeley threw me into this crazy mess of in a good way, of a bunch of different people doing so many different things.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think, 4 years there was kind of a lot. But also it gave me some like baseline like music theory knowledge that I feel like I can kind of whip out sometimes if I need to. That's been like really useful to have like when it's been helpful, it's been really helpful. But a lot of like the industry stuff, you know, it's hard to do that without like knowing, being really in it. And like you're in college, like you're just ultimately you're not in it. You know what I mean? I think I thought I was like, that's when I did those reality TV shows. So I was like, I'm doing it. Yeah. And now looking back, it was like, no, I was like going to class 5 days a week. I was like, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. You weren't meeting people. You weren't.
Well, I was meeting people around me in classes, which were great. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like I was out there. I thought that I was really finding my thing, but I was. I mean, I was on the journey of finding my thing, but I thought like by my senior year at Berklee, I was on it. And then it took moving to Nashville right after college that I quickly realized that it was not that way at all. And I had no idea what I was doing at all. And I had completely lost my sense of kind of artistry. Okay. And I was so frustrated. I did that Nashville thing where I was playing all the time and, you know, in the circles trying to get into them, and, you know, playing the Bluebird Cafe, like trying to get in there. And I played there a few times and it was great. You know what I mean? It's super great. But I did find ultimately like 6 or 7 months in, it felt very rigid to me. Like some of that, so much of it is the country style of writing, which is great writing. And like Laura McKenna says, it's the masters, and it's true. But there are ways to take those lessons and I think put them to something else. So I remember my friend Liz Longley told me about the house concerts, and I had never heard of it before. And it blew my mind. And so I booked this house concert and I drove like 8 hours to go, and I just did a terrible job. And I was so knocked on my ass because I had never played for an audience that actually listened from the beginning. I realized that all of my songs were just, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. That was all I had ever learned. You know what I mean? Was like, just listen, pay attention. Oh, and so if I had their attention from the beginning, I didn't have anything really. And someone at that show told me, have you ever heard David Wilcox? And I hadn't. And I devoured his album, How Did You Find Me Here, on the way home. And that was like, oh, you can kind of do whatever you want. And I think as things have changed in the world and the industry, it's become much more focused on like niches, kind of, I think. And so once I remember I heard that David Wilcox album, and it was like, I'm gonna go home and tune my guitar to some crazy tuning and write just some ridiculous song and just see what happens. Yeah. And I just kind of was trying to lead. I still kind of try to lead with that. Like it's the weird songs, when they're too perfect, that's great, but you have to break the rules too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was a big turning point, was hearing that album and coming home from a house concert and being like, maybe I should just kind of like trust myself that if I like this, even if it's like a weird chord thing, maybe other people will like that too. And maybe it's better to lead with that first rather than like, how do I master this one thing? I don't know. You know what I mean? It's interesting.
I think that there is so much to be said for, you know, a smaller audience that actually cares to be there.
Yeah.
Actually cares to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think the mentality that I had before certainly was kind of like, try to get my name out there to as many people as possible, as much as possible, and throw this huge net out kind of all the time. And if you're not doing that, then you're not successful. But now I'm like, I want to find the weirdos that are into the exact thing. You know what I mean? I want to like really narrow it in more, which is just like definitely a very big mindset shift for me. And it changed everything for me, and I still try to do that. You know, it's tempting to be like, oh, I had a video go viral or something, but it's like, that's not. It's great, like doing all these things that go big and stuff, but it's like, it's not as good as playing for like 10 people that really are into what you're doing. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's you know, a million videos a day that will be a flash in a pan.
Yeah.
You know, and you know. What do you do if you want to do this full time?
Yeah.
If you want some longevity.
I think that, see, I mean, especially in Nashville when I got there and I realized that a lot of what I had been striving for was this very hits-based music economy, which is like great, you know, but the hits are harder to come by, and it means something so different to have a hit nowadays. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like it's so different than what it was even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I can't even imagine 50 years ago. But you know, you get a hit, and then the record label pays for you to go on the road, and you get a bus, and you do, where it's like, it's just a different economy. And I realized that everything I had based my sort of dreams on kind of when I was younger was that hits-based, Grammys-based, reaching out as wide as possible all the time, that kind of economy. And so, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think it is really interesting because we have reached an inflection point where we've had so many conversations these days about AI and what AI is doing, and 100% what AI is not doing is being in a room with a couple of people that really want to listen to something niche.
Yeah.
Because it's great at writing just about anything that's, you know, generic, and that can, you know, kind of spread the gap for all of humanity, so to speak.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah. That's a cool way of putting that. Yeah.
But it can't write about real human experiences, and
yeah. I mean, I think that it's interesting because I think about that a lot because as people are terrified of AI in music and AI in general, and on some level, yeah, there's a reason for that. Yeah. But I'm not worried at all because I'm not competing with AI. You know what I mean? Yeah, like exactly. I'm not competing with a service. Like I'm not seeing my music and my music career quite as, I don't know if that's the right word, but a service, you know what I mean? As like a thing that someone puts coins into, like a vending machine. It's like a totally different thing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to like build something in connections with people. Like what you're saying, that's so true, that AI will never be able to do that. Exactly. But totally it could write a country song significantly better than I could. You know what I mean? 100%. Yeah. At this point, like hands are up, you know? It could write it way better than I could and sing better than me and play better than me, really, I'm sure. But it's like, that's not what I'm not competing with that. I'm not competing with being better. You know what I mean? It's like yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting way of putting that, what you said.
So talking about writing, you've been on the road like really heavily.
Yeah.
Seeing you selling out concerts from Texas all the way up through back to here in Maine. And including you were in Canada just the other day.
Yeah, it's great.
This question comes from Doug Colmar, who is our Maine Songwriters Association president. And how do you feel that being on the road has affected your writing? And have you found that it's hindered you, or have you found that it's kind of giving you inspiration?
I mean, it's hard to say because it's like all I've been doing. You know what I mean? So I don't know how different it would be if I was home more, you know?
It's kind of the normal for you.
Yeah. So I can only say that it's helped me, I guess. You know what I mean? I think certainly like the last album I released is very based on that, based on, you know, travels and meeting people. And I think what's cool is that I really try to like take stock of like people I'm meeting in person and like being with people in person that are different. Like it was so interesting in Canada last week, like being around a bunch of people that aren't afraid of each other. You know what I mean? Like politically and everything, you know what I mean? And that was interesting. And the difference, you know, you play in Texas and you're from New Hampshire, but it's great. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just different.
Yeah. I feel like we all have a lot more common ground than we give ourselves credit for.
Oh yeah, 100%. And my songs have kind of like gotten a little less sharp in that way, I think, because of what you're saying there. Like it's like, yeah, you meet people in person, it's like a different experience. So
you have a song exactly about that.
Yeah, literally, yeah, exactly about that. And it's only kind of been solidified more and more as I've traveled more. So yeah, I mean, I have to be careful not to just kind of rewrite that song over and over again. But Yeah.
And so I have another one. How do you think that being from New England has shaped your songwriting?
Well, it's shaped everything. I think, I don't know, that's interesting. I think people from New England are a little harder to read, a little like less emotionally open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And certainly that's, you know, growing up, people around me, my family, like not like a bad way, but just I had to get good at sort of like reading people in a way that like when I go to the South or something, it's like, oh man, you guys just like lay it all out there. You know what I mean? Like it's like you get pretty good at reading the smoke signals of people's communications. You know, I mean, obviously it's a blanket statement really, but yeah, the people are a little like, there's just a different way of interaction and a lot said in like more subtle ways.
Yeah.
That you have to get good at reading. And I think there's like, you know, I always felt kind of a quietness to it that I enjoyed, like to people's kind of mentalities, especially like really I grew up right in this area, which is interesting. And there's kind of like this quiet encouragement, you know what I mean? That's what I always kind of felt like. It was never, you know, people screaming at me to go do this and you know, you have to do it this way or that way or this way. It was kind of like, maybe he's kind of crazy for doing this music thing, but like, yeah, whatever. You know, it just kind of was like, oh, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. I don't know if that's a good answer for songwriting specifically, but certainly it was great to be able to travel to so many cities that are so close and go to Boston and see James Taylor and go and, you know, like the Prescott Park concert series. I remember I saw Martin Sexton there when I was in high school. It was like, whoa, you know, to be able to ride my bike and play an open mic in Portsmouth. And that was amazing.
So, along with this interview, you're going to play a song for us, and we'd, you know, love to hear a little bit like a behind the scenes, like what the songs mean to you and how you know, how and kind of when it might have come to you.
Yeah, I'll play the song "Hard to Hate," which we talked about earlier, and it's a song I wrote about growing up in this area and playing bar gigs when I was younger. And you know, I used to play York, Maine all the time, and I used to play Portsmouth and, you know, Hampton Beach, and it was a great experience, you know, and Manchester a lot, Nashua. It was a great experience, but it was a little freaky sometimes. You know, you have a residency at a Mexican restaurant every Friday, 11 to 2 a.m. You know, it's like a little, you learn a lot about life, and, you know, Hell's Angel bars, like, it's like, ooh. But I had so many like interesting experiences, and I kind of created this song as kind of an amalgamation of different experiences. So some of it isn't quite as like literally happened to me, but like collectively it happened to me. You know what I mean? It's like an illustration of what collectively happened to me. And it was an interesting writing process, just if you're interested, because I wrote the entire song and it wasn't working really. I really liked the chorus so much, but it just did not feel like it was working. Yeah. And then I realized I tried something and I made the verse not rhyme at all, which was really difficult. But it ended up making the chorus shine and making the stories in the verse shine because you were paying attention. You weren't just sitting there listening to the rhymes because there was no scheme. You know, there's no rhyme scheme. So yeah, that's just kind of an interesting aspect of this. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so very much for having us. You know, with this interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
We'll switch on over and I'm gonna play Sam Robbins, "Hard to Hate."
Yeah. Cool.
I was booked at a biker bar up north. It was leather jackets and guns on hips. I whipped in my dad's red Prius. I was stuffed in a corner singing Fire and Rain when a Hell's Angel spun towards me. As he was limping over, I swore I was about to die. But then we talked for 20 minutes about his favorite songs from Sweet Baby James. His voice got softer and softer. It's pretty hard to hate someone when they're right in front of you. It's so easy to fall in love when you take the close-up view. When it's not a screen, it's a face, it's a heart, it's a name. It gets pretty hard to hate when you can really see the flame, the fire behind everyone's pain. I was booked at a bright pink bachelorette where they wished I was a stripper. Drunk women barking, won't you play Michael Bublé? I picked his saddest one just to be rude, but much to my surprise, one by one they started slowing down. And for 3 whole hours we sang and laughed as we watched the walls fall down. Their faces got softer and softer. It's pretty hard to hate someone when they're right in front of you. It's so easy to fall in love when you take the close-up view. When it's not a screen, it's a face, it's a heart, it's a name. It gets pretty hard to hate when you can really see the flame, the fire behind everyone's pain. I gave Kathy a bag of chips by the side of the road. I saw the scars on her face as she said, did you know I used to be somebody? I used to be somebody. It's pretty hard to hate someone when they start to look like you. It's so easy to fall in love when their face reflects the truth that you can never quite escape. Good luck fighting off the flame. The fire, it always remains. Oh, it's all the same thing. Do-da-do-da-da, do-da-do-da-da, do-da-do-da-da.